Alright, guys. November 11th. Michigan is getting its first real snow. Driving, it sucks. So we're just gonna stay in, make a video. Yeah, let's do it. What is up, you heathens and demons, you sinners and saints, you beautiful, blasphemous people? Welcome back to A Raging Atheist. I'm your boy Nakasuchi, and today we're looking at something that I felt was so important that I'm pushing it up ahead of every other video that I'm already ahead on, that are already on Patreon. So I'm gonna send that shout out to Patreon. All you patrons, you're the shit. Your support is going a long way to making the channel better. Any suggestions that you have, I will listen to and will probably do it. So just let me know on Patreon what you'd like to see from me. It'll happen. For just $1, you can see every video I make before it goes up. This video will be on Patreon before it goes up tomorrow. If you'd like to become a patron, link is in the description below. Alright, so the video today we're going to be dealing with Paula White. Now, who is Paula White? Paula White is a prosperity preacher. Paula White is somebody that uses Christianity to make vast wealths of fortunes for herself. And now she has a position in the Trump administration because she's been Donald Trump's like fake leader or some bullshit like that. And we're going to be talking about legislation that she's been working on behind the scenes. Let's get into it.
One of the issues important to faith leaders as well is the First Step Act, a bipartisan bill that will reform our prisons and improve the criminal justice system. Give us a little more detail about that, Paula.
Well, I am so excited to be a part of this. It really is amazing how it started. When President first went into office, we had about 40 faith leaders come in and do a dinner with him, and Jared and Ivanka were there, and a few of the senior advisors and staff, and a conversation took place at Jared's table. This was actually the genesis of everything.
Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I have never heard of this First Step Act before. I am completely in the blind when it comes to this. Now, I have heard that Trump has done prison reform. I heard that he got a reward for prison reform, and I said if he did prison reform that deserved a reward, he should have got a reward for doing prison reform. This is the first I'm actually hearing about this, and I think that everybody should be listening with ears wide open here, because this is dangerous. This is what I've always said that Trump administration would probably try to do to pander to their 30% base that are pretty much just evangelical, fundamental, we'll say special people. All right, so you know, I've always said that this is something that his administration does. Well, here we're going to have a very clear transgression, I think, against the Constitution, a very clear transgression against the separation of church and state. Let's continue.
And we talked about how if churches, we visit the prisoners, and we churches, people of faith, really feel a mandate by God. And it's not just a mandate, like we want to help and give people, listen, our entire story is a story of redemption, that God's grace gives second chances.
Right.
So this genesis, how it started, was a conversation that said, if every church in America, or a lot of churches in America, had the ability to adopt a prisoner when they came out, we would dramatically lower the recidivism rate.
Wait, what the fuck did we just hear? Let's go back and watch that last part again.
If every church in America, or a lot of churches in America, had the ability to adopt a prisoner when they came out, we would dramatically lower the recidivism rate.
That's right, y'all. You heard it right. Paula White is talking about adopt an inmate, an adopt a poor person, adopt a prisoner program that will lower the recidivism rate, and I have huge issues with this. First off, what's going to be the stipulations? Is this going to affect their parole or their ability to get off of probation? Is this going to allow them to get out easy? Will this apply to violent offenders? Why in the fuck are Christian leaders trying to adopt prisoners to push a fundamental version of Christianity onto them? And why are leaders of both political parties, because they said this was bipartisan, why are both leaders coming together on this? Why did this start at some fancy fucking dinner with a bunch of billionaires like Jared fucking Kushner? I have so many problems with this, so many issues with this. This should not be happening. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that this is illegal. I think that this goes against the Constitution of the United States, the very Constitution that Donald Trump swore to uphold when he took his oath of office. But for clear transparency's sakes, I mean, let's be honest, he has crumbled up that Constitution, probably has used it as toilet paper and wiped his ass with it since he took the office.
Well, Jared's ears popped up. He got so excited. So we started having meetings, and he really began to champion this with the president, and the president got fully on board. I saw so many meetings I could reference to. I just want to give one quick one, Laura, that I don't know if people saw. But
So many meetings happening behind the scenes, and this is the first I'm hearing about it. A person that, usually finds out about this kind of stuff. Usually I would hear about this, and this is the first that I'm ever hearing about it. Never heard of this before. So many meetings. Why is our federal government having meeting after meeting after meeting with Christian leaders? And I mean, let's just pause for a moment. Let's just pause and take a break and just consider the Republican reaction had Barack Obama placed Jeremiah Wright in a position of power inside of his administration.
But we were having a private meeting in the Roosevelt Room and going around, and this was in the early stages of it. And the president said, well, what about violent crimes? Can a person really be rehabilitated? And that's a very valid question.
Yeah.
And there was a man sitting across, and we were kind of smiling because we knew who was in the room, and his name's Sean, and he said, professor at Georgetown. And he said, sir, he said, I was in prison for 12 years for armed robbery, and he told a story about how faith changed his life.
So here, Paula White is admitting to how gullible and stupid the President of the United States is. So the President asked a question, and they set him up to ask that question because she just told you, she knew who was in the room. And this dude is going to give his one example about himself to be the example that, yes, God can help people that commit these violent crimes to not commit violent crimes anymore, because look at this dude. He's a professor at Georgetown University.
How he got out, and because of faith-based, there were people that helped support him so that he was able to get a job. He was able to get housing. It was not easy. He was able to reacclimate. He was able to be around people who supported him. He's now a professor at Georgetown.
Amazing.
And the president looked over, smiling, said, I think you make a better professor than a bank robber, Sean. And I saw it catch, and he went, boy, this is what I want to do. I want to help people who want that help.
I actually agree that all of those things she said is important. If you're going to come out of prison and you don't want to go back, you need to be able to find a job. You need to have a support system around you. I don't agree that that support system should be mandated Christians, but let's talk about this story, because this is just one story. Where is your evidence that God will help any of these people coming out of prison not to go back? Because by my understanding, most of them already believe in the God of Abraham, either through Christianity, Judaism, or Islam. They already have this God. This God has done nothing for them so far. They will continue to have this God, and a lot of them will continue to go back to prison. There is data out there that would indicate what we would need to do to lower the recidivism rate. And that would be to provide good housing, provide good jobs, provide good economics and situations for people to return to. Not just limit them to the absolute shit jobs of the economy, but actually open up the economy to them, allow them to become a member of society instead of an outcast. That would go a long way. But you don't want to do that. You want to adopt a Christian because these are prosperity preachers. What they do is make money. This is going to make them a lot of money. But let's talk about this individual story. So you got one guy there that did violent crime, armed robbery, and then went on to become a professor at Georgetown University. I want to know his backstory. I want to know the economics behind that. I want to know what did his parents do for a living? Were they rich people? Was he a white man? Was he a black man? How young was he? Was he able to get out at a relatively young age, go on to college? Did he have the financial means for that to become an easy thing to do? I mean, I need to know more details to this fucking story, but obviously the President of the United States didn't.
So first step helps, of course, keep our communities safe. But what it does is it gives the ability, not just only through faith-based, but it helps lower, the greatest thing I think it does, what we focus so much on, it's going to lower that recidivism rate because we help people reacclimate their life. And that is by the right support. It's also rolled back some of the, really bad legislation that was done under President Clinton.
I highly agree that there was terrible legislation under President Clinton that led to the prison problems that we have today. There was also bad legislations under the first George Bush and his whole war on drugs, which led to the prison problems we have today. There was bad legislation under the second George Bush, and there was bad legislation under Barack Obama. We have been wanting to get prison reform done for decades, and we have viable solutions. We have very practical means to do so. You get it away from being a privatized industry to where corporations are making money. But now they're trying to take that a step farther. They're not just privatizing the industry, they're privatizing the rehabilitation. And they're sending it to a corner of the market that is the president's direct base. Evangelical Christians that would love nothing more than to have a whole new crop of people to indoctrinate into their fucking cult.
And so what we've been able to do is make a huge difference. And I pray, I know we're right there. We were with many of the senators last night, and I just believe this is going to be a huge win for all, because it's a win for humanity. You know, it affects 1 in 3 Americans are affected by people that are in prison. And what we recognize is that most people who get out of prison, 95% of those will be released from prison. And the recidivism rate is so high that I believe, I have it written down somewhere, but it's like close to 90% will go back within 5 years.
Right.
You know, maybe you should have found that paper, because you are way off. It's not close to 90% will go back after 5 years. It's 76.6% will go back after 5 years. That's like 13 points, yo. And I need to see the data that's going to lead to your conclusions that your fundamental Christian God, who, by the way, has, lavished you with opulence and wealth, but then sticks these other Christians into a fucking prison where they're treated like dogs. I want to see the evidence to where your God is going to help these people where he hasn't helped them before. I want to see the evidence that you have that this Christian God is going to lower these rates of recidivism. I want to see the data that you have that's going to suggest the Christian God will help these people lead a better life when that Christian God hadn't done so before. I want to see this fucking data.
Well, under this first step, that recidivism rate, boy, I believe we'll get it under 50%.
Wow.
I think we will see great things happen.
Wow, that would be so incredible.
So here you have Paula White's prediction that if they are allowed to adopt a poor person, adopt an inmate, then that recidivism rate will go down below 50%. Now, she was saying it was 90%. That would be a 40-point drop. But it's really 76%, so we would call that a 26% drop. I will give her that. If that happens, I'll give her props, because I don't think it's going to fucking happen. And I don't want to see this law come into effect. This is another mechanic for them to bring this country under the heel of dogmatic biblical Christian law. This is something that, as an atheist, could lead to my demise. So of course, I don't want to see this. We need to be fighting against this. We need to be screaming with the loudest voices that we can scream with that this is unconstitutional, that this shreds the separation of church and state. We should be calling our senators. We should be calling our congresspeople. We should be up in arms about this. This shouldn't even be up for debate, and yet they're doing it behind closed fucking doors. Now, this was the end of an interview on this really, really weird, bizarre Trump program. I have to assume this is Trump TV. I found this on YouTube, but it was really weird. But this was the end. Usually I run it from beginning to end, but I felt that this was important. It needed to be talked about now. I have 2 more videos ready to make from the beginning of this interview, so look forward to that. As always, I'm your boy Nakasuchi. This is A Raging Atheist. If you like my videos, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share me on your social media, comment in the comment section below. Hit that bell so you're notified every single time I release a new video or have a new live stream. Tell all your friends about me. I'll see you soon.